How are we all doing today? Welcome to Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner on 12OZSportsRadio.com. I am your host, Glenn Kaplan. We are live in Baltimore, Maryland, which is home of the Baltimore Orioles and the Baltimore Ravens. And I am excited for today's show, and I hope you all enjoyed your weekend because it was very, very chaotic outside and I'm not going to get into it. So let's jump into the business of sports with this being the 74th show today on here. And I can't be more excited to get it all started. But before I get into my first topic of today's show, here's what I want to say about 12OZSportsRadio.com. You want to be entered to win $100 cash? Here's how. Number one, follow at 12OZSports on Twitter and Facebook. Number two, retweet this post to post on their pages. Number three, tag two friends. Number four, purchase a shirt from our 2020 mini catalog. Draw will be made on June 9th, so that's next Tuesday. If any of you guys want to, win $100, $100 can't hurt at this time of year, right? I mean, it seriously cannot whatsoever. So let's get started with the Jack Eichel sweepstakes, and let's get rolling, ladies and gentlemen, because Jack Eichel is supposedly not happy with what's going on in Buffalo. He's tired of losing, so is the fan base. What else can you say on the matter? He's not thrilled with losing. And the thing about Eichel is 8 years on his contract, $80 million. And that contract does not expire till what? 2020, after the 2025-2026 season? It doesn't. And then, he's only 23 years old. He was the second overall pick. Get this thing off my computer. What is this doing? Get this system analyzer results off my thing. Thank you. Sorry, so Eichel's 23 years old. His contract doesn't expire until after the 2025-2026 season. He's overshadowed throughout his career because of Connor McDavid of the Edmonton Oilers. That's all I have to say on that. And in Eichel's career, he's played in 354 games, scored 137 goals, he has 200 assists, and his plus minus is 60 in his career. And in 68 games last season, he scored 36 goals and recorded 42 assists. And the thing about the Sabres is, they have not been in the playoffs since what? 2010, 2011? When they were a 7 seed, almost beat the Flyers, and they had them on the ropes at Game 6, lost that game in overtime, that got shut out in Game 7. And the Sabres have yet to recover ever since that moment, because the Buffalo Sabres have been a franchise of poor and mediocrity and less than that below average. And when you don't make the playoffs, even in a 2014 format, you know there's going to be some head spinning. Because that's what's going on in Buffalo right now. And Jack Eichel's not the only one. Rasmus Ristolainen, defenseman of Buffalo, is also not thrilled. But now let's figure this out. So if Eichel supposedly wants out, and I don't blame him, this is like when Taylor Hall, when he was with the Edmonton Oilers, got this bad rep, got this, got that, the whole 9 yards. Oh, and it also happened to Ryan O'Reilly, too, of the St. Louis Blues. He actually happened to win the Conn Smythe Trophy and the Stanley Cup with St. Louis after he got traded from Buffalo. So what are the possibilities of destinations for Eichel? I think it would be an Eastern Conference team. First of all, they're not training within the Atlantic Division. You can forget about that. He's not going to Boston. He's not going to Montreal. He's not going to any of those teams. That's number one. Number two, I don't see him going in the West. Edmonton and Calgary is a nice thought. I mean, the Calgary Flames is a nice thought. But I don't think he wants to play in the West either. He's from the East, and they would trade him probably to a Metro team. So let's go with the Metro teams. First of all, the New York Rangers, the Pittsburgh Penguins, and the Washington Capitals or probably do not have the cap or the room to do so to acquire him. So there are 3 teams that I think could get him: the New York Islanders, the Carolina Hurricanes, and the Columbus Blue Jackets. So here's something that I was reading yesterday, potentially with the Carolina Hurricanes, in a potential trade maybe for Jack Eichel, because Carolina may be a star or 2 away from being really legit. Here we go. Carolina would have to give up Ryan Suzuki, a 19-year-old prospect, Martin Necas, another young promising player, 2 first-round picks, Joey Keane, a young defenseman, Nino Niederreiter potentially for cap reasons, and maybe another prospect or 2, and that's what Buffalo would maybe be looking for. And yes, I know that the price is expensive, but that would have to be the case here, and that would be actually potentially a good deal for both sides. Now, that's a trade that would work for both sides. Now, something that I happened to be coming across yesterday in the team in the same division that I do not see. First of all, I don't see it happening. New Jersey. Now, there are a few trade scenarios. First of all, they will not happen because, first of all, I don't think New Jersey has enough to deal with. Here's trade option number 1. A 2020 first-round pick, a 2020 third-round pick, Riley Walsh, and Ty Smith. Not happening. Trade number 2, a 2020 and a 2021 first-round pick, Yanni Kukkonen, and Jesper Bratt. Really? Really? That's not enough for Eichel. And here's trade number 3. 2 first-round picks this year, Kyle Palmieri and Jesper Boqvist. Okay. I guess the third trade is alright. But I'm really not a fan of that trade. I think that is a horrible... I just don't think it fits the Devils really well. I just don't like the deal. And Carolina and New Jersey hasn't been good for a while. Yes, they made it to the playoffs, just last year? Really, ladies and gentlemen, they're not going anywhere. The Devils are not going anywhere. Carolina makes more sense. And I don't think the Flyers would be interested, but do they really have the cap? They have the prospects, and they probably have the draft picks. I don't know. I don't know how that would work, potentially, with the Flyers, because they got the prospects and the draft picks, but do they have the cap room? It's all about cap when it comes to these trades. Next up, moving on from this Jack Eichel business, and I'm surprised that general manager Jason Botterill got another year. I'm trying to figure that out for the life of me. He hasn't really drafted well. Oh well, next up, Jason Tatum is possibly going to be getting a contract extension this offseason from the Boston Celtics, and he's a max player. Or is he a max player? Well, he's going to get the max offer, but whether I think or not he's that superstar caliber player is another story for me to debate on another day. I think Tatum's good. I just view him as a B-plus player. I really don't see him as an A player at any point in his career. Yes, I know he's had bursts and spurts and this and that at points in games this year. Sure, he's played in 59 games and averaged 23.6 points per game, 7.1 rebounds per game, 2.9 assists per game, 0.9 blocks a game, and 1.4 steals per game. And no, I think those are very good numbers. And it happens to be that he's actually the best player from the 27 NBA draft, and Jason Tatum's only 22 years old. Because Tatum's the only one that stayed with this team in Boston. Let's see, number 1 pick Markelle Fultz out of University of Washington. Got drafted by the Sixers. Oh yeah, he's now with the Orlando Magic because the Sixers messed him up. Oh, and number 2, Lonzo Ball, who happened to be drafted by the Lakers out of UCLA. Oh, wait, he's now with the New Orleans Pelicans. Yeah, the Celtics did it right. Even though they had the 1 pick or 2 pick originally, traded back and got Tatum. They got their man when the Sixers could have had him. But now these two teams messed up, and they deserve to do so. And yes, I know Fultz has revived his career. And yes, I know that Ball has actually been pretty nice with the Pelicans. But let's just face the facts that Tatum's the best one out of the 3. Is Tatum going to win an MVP one day? Some people say yes. Some people say no. I'm personally not one of them. Do I think it could be multiple All-Star games? Absolutely. But to tell me, I don't... Can he be the main guy to lead a championship? I say no. There is something about his game I like, but I see him more as a really, 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 really great number 2, just not a number 1. That's how I view Jason Tatum. I think he's a phenomenal number 2. I just don't think he's the number 1. That's how I feel like. I believe Kemba Walker's the 1, and I believe Tatum's the 2. On that team, I believe that Kemba Walker's the best, and Jason Tatum's the best. Oh boy, did I forget? Oh, I must have forgotten something, and I'm going to discuss it in a few minutes about my NBA All-Divisional teams, so keep an eye out for this. And I can't believe in my mind it just popped in my head that I actually forgot something. I'm going to have to switch something out. Let's see how it's all going to go, because I'm excited to see how it's all going to play out. But at the same time, this could be really, I think it's going to be really good to keep an eye on. With the whole Tatum situation. And I'm telling you all right now that he's not a number 1, he's a number 2. That's what Jason Tatum is. And I still can't believe that Philadelphia and LA pass up on him. Because there's a guy that I like talking to about Jason Tatum and from Duke University and the whole stuff. It's like, and he's like to me, I said, I saw this coming from a mile away when Jason Tatum was good in college. That Jason Tatum would be the best player. Because here's the thing about Tatum. He's a wing defender. It's very rare in the NBA today to have very good wing defenders. You want to know who the other good wing defender is in today's NBA? A guy named Paul George on the Los Angeles Clippers. Paul George is not a number 1 on the Clippers. He's a number 2 behind Kawhi Leonard. That's who a number 2 is. Paul George is the definition of a number 2, and that's what Jason Tatum is. You want to know how important it is to guard the wing? It's so important. You want to know why it's important to guard the wing? Number 1, so teams can't penetrate on you as much. Number 2, it's more difficult to shoot the 3 because basketball, you got to shoot the 3. If you don't shoot the 3, you're not going to win games. It's as simple as that. You don't shoot the 3, you don't win. And if you don't defend the 3, you're not going to win basketball games. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that when it comes to Jason Tatum's game. And I appreciate his game very much. I very much appreciate it. And before I get into my next segment, I'm going to ask you all a question. Do you all agree with me that Jason Tatum is more of a number 2 rather than a number 1? If you think yes, okay, fine. If you don't, then that's okay too. Because I appreciate all answers. That's what I do on this show. I love when people have their own opinions about stuff. So, Jason Tatum is the heartbeat and the heart and soul, and he's the leader, along with Kemba Walker, on the Boston Celtics. And if they happen to win the finals this year, then I guess all ends well for them, right? Here we go. On to my next segment. NBA divisional teams. So because of, I was kind of trying to hurry about topics this week, so what I decided to do is come up with 6 teams, 6 divisional all-star teams. Here we go. Starting 5 for this division. I can't believe I left this player out, but I'm obviously going to have to add him in for someone. Here we go. Starting 5. Kevin Durant on the Brooklyn Nets. Jason Tatum of the Boston Celtics. Pascal Siakam of the Toronto Raptors. Joel Embiid of the Philadelphia 76ers. Okay, so this I had Kyrie in my starting lineup. And for some reason, I had Jaylen Brown on my bench. So let's move Jaylen Brown off the roster. Let's move Kyrie Irving to the bench. And let's have Kemba Walker to the starting 5. So there we go. So now you got Kyrie, Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, and Kyle Lowry off the bench. Irving of the Nets, Simmons of the Sixers, Harris of the Sixers, and Lowry of the Raptors. And no New York Knicks, guys. And your head coach, Nick Nurse of Toronto. I like this roster. I like this starting 5. Durant and Embiid, 2 top 10 players. Kemba Walker's a top 15. Tatum, Siakam, 2 young rising superstars. And then you got off the bench, Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, Kyle Lowry, and Kyrie Irving. Next up, Division 2. This division features your starting 5 of Jimmy Butler of the Miami Heat, Bradley Beal of the Washington Wizards, Nikola Vucevic of the Orlando Magic, Trae Young of the Atlanta Hawks, and Bam Adebayo of the Miami Heat. Off the bench, Aaron Gordon of the Orlando Magic, John Wall of the Washington Wizards, Devontae Graham of the Charlotte Hornets, and Duncan Robinson of the Miami Heat. Head coach, Eric Spoelstra of the Miami Heat. I like Beal. I like Jimmy Butler. Trae Young. That's a nice backcourt. And then you have Vucevic at center and Adebayo at the 4. There are really no true forwards except unless you're counting on Jimmy Butler here. And then next, I think the bench, I think this is the weakest bench. And I personally don't think it's even close. The bench is such a weak link for this team. Division 3, starting 5. Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Milwaukee Bucks. Andre Drummond of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Kevin Love of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Victor Oladipo of the Indiana Pacers. And Zach LaVine of the Chicago Bulls. That's a very, very interesting starting 5. Antetokounmpo is your MVP. Andre Drummond is a rebounding force. Kevin Love is a spot-up three-point shooter. And Oladipo LaVine is a very, very, very small backcourt. But very athletic. Head coach, Nick McMillan of the Indiana Pacers. And off the bench, Chris Middleton, Eric Bledsoe, both on the Milwaukee Bucks, Miles Turner of the Indiana Pacers, and Blake Griffin of the Detroit Pistons. Okay, let me slow down here. Calm down, man. All right. So let me calm down here for a second. All right. So Giannis, as I was saying, the absolutely probably going to win the MVP award. Giannis Antetokounmpo is a downright freak of nature. And another thing about Giannis is that if he gets traded, if Giannis Antetokounmpo gets traded, then the Bucks are probably shot and done. Because if the Bucks do win a championship, then I guess he's not going anywhere. Andre Drummond, an absolutely rebounding machine. Kevin Love, as I said, a spot-up shooter. And Oladipo LaVine, a very talented but very small and athletic backcourt. And a bench I don't think is that strong either with Chris Middleton. He's hit and miss. Eric Bledsoe, Miles Turner, and Blake Griffin. And as for Giannis Antetokounmpo, he is the captain of this team. Division 4. Starting 5. Damian Lillard of the Portland Trailblazers. Donovan Mitchell of the Utah Jazz. Chris Paul of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Karl Anthony Towns of the Minnesota Timberwolves. And Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets. So you got two centers here with Towns and Jokic. But Jokic would be the 5. Towns would be more the 4. He'd be more the power forward in this scenario. And 3 guard lineup. Donovan Mitchell, I guess, would have to play the 3 because he's probably the most athletic compared to Chris Paul and Damian Lillard. Lillard and Paul backcourt. And Chris Paul has done a phenomenal job with the Oklahoma City Thunder this year. And Damian Lillard, one of the most underrated and underappreciated point guards we have ever seen in the National Basketball Association. First of all, Damian Lillard is an ice-cold-blooded man. He's cold-blooded when the game's on the line. Damian Lillard deserves better, but he wants to play with one team in Portland. And I personally do not blame Damian Lillard for not wanting to play with anyone else other than Portland. They may trade CJ McCollum, but Lillard is not going anywhere. He is the definition of the Portland Trailblazers for right now. Donovan Mitchell, he's a solid guard. He's a solid defender. He can score. He was a University of Louisville product. And I love his game. As for Chris Paul, he is a beast. And I'm surprised he's actually led the Oklahoma City Thunder to the number 5 seed this year. Karl Anthony Towns, a monster in the paint. And so is Nikola Jokic for the Denver Nuggets. Off the bench, Jamal Murray of the Denver Nuggets, Rudy Gobert, the Utah Jazz, CJ McCollum, the Portland Trailblazers, and Danilo Gallinari of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now that's actually a good bench. You actually got a point guard, you have a shooting guard, you have a small forward, and you have a center off the bench. That's actually a nice bench, one for each position. Jamal Murray is a speedster. Rudy Gobert is a tank in the paint. He's a block shot machine. And the thing about Rudy Gobert is, let's give him the Defensive Player of the Year award because he basically shut down the league. And speaking of shutting down the league, in a few minutes, I will get into the possible scenarios about them potentially restarting the league. And then, CJ McCollum. I love CJ McCollum as a scorer. Because CJ McCollum is one of the best shooting guards in the league. He's a top 5. Let's see. You got Jimmy Butler, Bradley Beal, Klay Thompson, CJ McCollum. Yeah, he's top 4, top 5 easily. Absolutely. And then Danilo Gallinari wasn't part with the trade. The Clippers, the Paul George trade. That also sent Shai Gilgeous-Alexander actually also having a nice year with the Thunder. So this was a very good move. This was a very, very good move for the Thunder. And the head coach, Mike Malone of the Denver Nuggets. Division 5. Your starting lineup. Wait a sec. Oh, yeah. So this was Division 4 I just did. This is Division 5. That's right. I got one more after this. I was losing track of my numbers here for some reason. I don't know why. Ladies and gentlemen, before I announce the starting lineup, I want you to all drum roll right now and what I'm about to announce what this starting lineup's about to be. Because you all are going to be like, wowza, wowza, wowza. What is this with this absolutely ridiculously loaded lineup? Here we go. Your starting lineup for Division 5. Steph Curry in the Golden State Warriors. Klay Thompson in the Golden State Warriors. LeBron James in the Los Angeles Lakers. Kawhi Leonard in the Los Angeles Clippers. And Anthony Davis in the Los Angeles Lakers. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me with this? This is a loaded lineup. This is an NBA starting lineup for a Western Conference All-Star team, and you get it for one division. Mercy, mercy, please have mercy on this division. Are you kidding me? This is loaded. Steph Curry's an All-Star. Klay Thompson could be starting an All-Star game. So can LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, and Anthony Davis. Are you kidding me right now? I'm shocked. I'm shell-shocked that we have this loaded team. I couldn't believe it. I was going through the division. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. That's just the starting 5. And then you got off the bench Devin Booker of the Phoenix Suns, Paul George of the Los Angeles Clippers, De'Aaron Fox of the Sacramento Kings, and DeAndre Ayton of the Phoenix Suns nonetheless. Are you kidding me? Nonetheless, are you kidding me right now? This entire roster is I'm just sitting here. And I'm just sitting here like, this is loaded. What a loaded roster we have here on top. It's absolutely loaded. And there are some other players that I probably missed out on. You got Montrezl Harrell. You got Lou Williams. Maybe you got Draymond Green or Kyle Kuzma. I mean, dude, this is just loaded. And then your head coach is Frank Vogel of the Los Angeles Lakers. How are you going to tell me this lineup's not loaded? Next, last but not least, division number 6. Starting 5. James Harden of the Houston Rockets. Russell Westbrook of the Houston Rockets. Luka Doncic of the Dallas Mavericks. Brandon Ingram of the New Orleans Pelicans. And LaMarcus Aldridge of the San Antonio Spurs. I don't think that's that bad. I really don't. Let's see. Well, you got a nice backcourt with James Harden and Russell Westbrook. Some people will question whether it's worked or not in Houston. Then you have Luka Doncic of the Dallas Mavericks, who I think should be the MVP this year. And first of all, don't even let me start on that with the whole Luka Doncic thing. And then Brandon Ingram of the New Orleans Pelicans, who's having a very nice year. Excuse me. And then LaMarcus Aldridge, who's been a consistent guy with scoring 20 points and grabbing 15 rebounds basically throughout his entire NBA career. And then off the bench, you have a very solid supporting cast. Kristaps Porzingis of the Dallas Mavericks, Zion Williamson of the New Orleans Pelicans, DeMar DeRozan of the San Antonio Spurs, and Ja Morant of the Memphis Grizzlies. Your head coach, Greg Popovich of the San Antonio Spurs. What a really, really... I don't know if the starting 5's all that great, but you actually got a solid bench. And that could actually support itself. With Porzingis and Zion, some people think Zion's going to be a top 5 player in the world within the next year or two. First of all, I don't know if it's going to be within the next year or two. But we got to see how his injuries, how his body is, the twerk that he does on his body. And we just got to see how he treats his body. That's what it's going to come down to. Because, ladies and gentlemen, if he does not treat his body right, he ain't going to be in the NBA very long like Greg Oden was when he was drafted a long time ago, over a decade ago, by the Portland Trail Blazers. Oh, and they passed up on a guy named Kevin Durant. Yeah, I think that happened before, back at the Michael Jordan days. While Portland Trailblazers have had a history of missing out on players. Oh, and they also had a guy named Brandon Roy once upon a time. But yeah, he was very good. He would have been one of the best shooting guards ever. But he had knee problems and his career had to be cut short. Basically, yep, so Russell Westbrook is an absolute downright beast. I love the way he plays. And they do so many things right. They really do. And will the Rockets actually be a playoff team after this year moving forward? They probably will be, unless they break things up. I would be shocked if they do. And it's going to be a question is, does Mike D'Antoni return? It's going to be a matter of, will Mike D'Antoni return? And if he does return, well then great. If he doesn't return, oh well. Because I guess we got to see how things are going to potentially play out with Russell Westbrook being a heartbeat and heart and soul of your Houston Rockets and the leader that he is. It seems like he plays with more energy than Harden, right? So now let's move on to the next thing with the NBA return to play. So, and I like this guy on Twitter. His name is Shams Charlinka from The Athletic. So, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver and the league office informed Board of Governors that July 31st is a target date for return to season, sources tell The Athletic, NBA at Stadium. That's the Twitter page at Stadium. And then he also posted, sources, the NBA discussed 4 competition scenarios for restart with the Board of Governors today. This was a few days ago that he posted this. Scenario number 1, 16 teams directly to the playoffs. So it'd just be the top 16 teams, which I think that would be the best. Option number 2, 20 teams, group stage play. That'd be World Cup. Like you do in the World Cup, you break it down into 4 or 5 tiers. It'll be 4 tiers, 5 teams in each. Each team plays each other twice. The top 2 teams in each tier will play each other in a best of 7 series, and then they'll take it from there. Option number 3, 22 teams, games to determine seeding, play in tournament for final seeds. Option number 4, 30 teams, 72 game regular season with play in tournament. All right. First of all, let's cross out the 30 teams right now. Let's cross that out, which I'm going to put an X mark on my script right here. That is one thing that they should not do. Do not play 30 teams. First of all, here's the problem. Why do you need to bring extra teams with the potential risk? If you play more games, the higher risk that you may have to shut down again. You do not need 30 teams. Period. You don't need to tell teams like the Golden State Warriors, the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Atlanta Hawks, the New York Knicks, and for other teams to come back. You don't need those teams to come back this year. It would just be worthless. Their season's been over since November and December, crying out loud. You know who the good teams are come that time of year anyways. By Christmas, you know who the good teams are and the bad teams are in the NBA. Give me a break. You know who the good teams and the bad teams are. Next, let's see. Let's see about 22 teams. For 22 teams, you have 2 games to determine seeding, play in tournament for final seeds. No, cross that out too. We are not doing 22 teams either. Yes, that's too much. That's too much. That's 2 extra teams. Yes, it sounds like 6 extra from the 16. But we don't need 22 teams. We don't need the bottom 4 teams from each conference coming. And the 22, let's see. Let me make sure I'm doing my math correctly. So it would be 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. So it would be the bottom 4 teams in each conference. And you would have the top 11. Okay, I was saying, if you had the Knicks come back, and I know they're at like number 12. I'm like, please, please, please. Don't have the Knicks come back. We don't need teams like the Knicks and the Cavaliers and the Hawks and the Warriors and the Timberwolves. In the Suns, we don't need those teams coming back. We really don't. I don't like it. Next up. Let's see. 20 teams. World Cup style. I could live with it. I think that could work, so I'm not going to really cross that out. I could live with that idea. I don't think it's the greatest idea in the world because you could have so you have 20 teams, top 10 teams from each conference, and you would have the Wizards and the Hornets, and then you would have 9, 10 in the West. 9 and 10 in the West. Yeah, definitely the Trailblazers was 9. And it's either the Pelicans or the Spurs in that slot. It's the Pelicans, Spurs, or Kings in that slot. It's one of those 3 teams. So I could live with that. That I could live with. Because you'll get a guy maybe like Zion for the Pelicans or Damian Lillard. You could definitely get those guys. Those guys you can definitely live with. I can live with those tiers. So let me write down something. I have no idea how this would work. So I'm going to, on my script thing right now, I'm going to do tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4. Okay. So here's how I'm going to break this down. So you know how for March Madness, we have a 1 seed, a 2 seed, a 3 seed, a 4 seed, and a 5 seed, right? So we have that. So tier 1, I'm going to do and I'm going to do it basically in reverse chronological order like a draft. So tier 1 is your top number 1 overall seed. So let me have my number 1 seed. Let me have the Milwaukee Bucks. So I'm doing the top 10 teams from each conference. Tier number 2, Lakers. And I'm not doing this based off of records. I'm doing this based off who I think are the best teams and this and that. Next up, tier 3, Clippers. Tier number 4, the top seed in tier 4. Let's go with the Raptors. All right. Tier 4, number 2 seed, Denver Nuggets. Tier 3, number 2 seed. Let me go with the Celtics. Tier 2, number 2 seed. Let me think this for a minute. So I have the Bucks, the Lakers, the Celtics, Raptors, Nuggets, Clippers. Who is your Jazz? No, definitely not Utah. I do like Miami here. I like the Miami Heat. And then, tier number 2, in the tier 1, let's go with the Jazz. And then tier number 1, 3 seed, I'm going with the Sixers. So I like the way how it's looking right now. Tier 2, 3 seed, let me go with the Thunder. Tier 3, number 3 seed, I am going to go with the Houston Rockets. Tier 4 number 3 seed. Let's go with Tier 4 number 3 seed. So let's see. Bucks, Jazz, Sixers, Lakers, Heat, Thunder, Clippers, Celtics, Rockets, Raptors, Nuggets, and tier number 3 seed. Let's go with, I guess you got to go with the Dallas Mavericks. Tier number 4 seed, Brooklyn Nets. So this is an absolutely loaded bracket for tier number 4. Tier 3, number 4 seed. Let's go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 13 teams. Let's go with, actually, the tier 4 seed. Let's go with the Pacers instead of the Nets. And let's go number 4 seed. Let's go with the Nets in tier 3 instead of, let's go with the Pacers in tier 4 is the 4, and tier 3 with the Nets as your tier number 3 seed. And so then, number 4, tier 2, number 4, let's go with the Grizzlies. And then let's go with the Magic. And then tier 1, number 5 seed, let's go Trailblazers. Tier 2, number 5 seed, Wizards. I like how that's drawn out. And then tier 3, number 5 seed in the Eastern Conference. From the Eastern Conference, it's the Hornets / Pistons. And then the 5 seed in tier 4, Kings / Spurs / Pelicans. In that scenario. So I think this could very well work. And I think in these 2 tiers, I would choose to represent these 2 tiers. I would choose the Bucks and the Sixers. I would choose the Lakers and the Heat. Tier 3, I would choose the Clippers and the Celtics. And then in tier 4, I would choose the Raptors and the Nuggets. Tier 4, Raptors, Nuggets, best of 7. Let's go Nuggets. Celtics, Clippers, give me the Clippers. Lakers, Heat, Lakers, Sixers, Bucks, let's go with the Bucks. So you got your final 4. And I don't know, I guess, how do you match this up now with these final couple of teams? How do you bracket this? Do you do tier 1 versus tier 4 and 2 versus tier 3? I guess that's the way you may have to do it. So you got the Nuggets and the Bucks. Give me the Bucks. Clippers, Lakers. Give me the Clippers, and I would take the Clippers to win the title anyways. Because I think the Clippers are going to win the title this year. Basically because I just think they're deep down. You got Kawhi Leonard. You got Paul George. You got Montrezl Harrell. Excuse me. You basically got the whole shebang. Excuse me. You basically have the whole shebang over there with the NBA. And I'm happy I'm talking a lot of basketball today. I don't know, it just feels like one of those days that I'm happy to be talking about the NBA and talking about positive vibes, trying to make this show fun for you guys to listen to. I appreciate for whoever's listening to the show today. I love you all. So here we go. Here we go in my last segment for today. A couple of my NFL topics for my last 10 minutes to mention on the New York Football Giants. So the New York Post had a headline, and it said, Plaxico Burress shooting cost Giants chance at a dynasty. I have my thoughts on this. I was speaking to my dad about this yesterday, so here's my take on that headline. Number 1, that the New York Giants... Who's calling me during the middle of my show? Are you kidding me? A spam 715-807-658 number is calling me during my show. You kidding me? No, I'm not picking up the phone. Nice try, whoever's trying to sell me something. Yes, I know you probably found it all amusing. So, back to my take with the Plaxico Burress. Shooting Carson Giants' chance at a dynasty. This is a very interesting headline. Because I always believed that this football team would have went back-to-back. And had he not shot himself, that would have been the case. They would have won 3 championships in 5 years. They would have won 3 championships in 5 years. Sorry. I was just trying to regain my thought over there. And they had Kevin Boss, Steve Smith, Amani Toomer, David Deal Christie, and some of the other guys on the roster. Brandon Jacobs, Ahmad Bradshaw. That was basically... That team was loaded the year after they beat the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl. They were loaded. They were 11-1 before Plaxico shot himself. And I could not believe that Burress actually done something idiotic to cost the Giants a chance at another ring. Because it was not in September that this happened. They would have found chemistry. They would have found this. They would have found that. And another thing that everyone overlooks. Everyone overlooks this. What would have been Eli Manning's legacy had he won a 3rd Super Bowl? And I probably think that he would not have been MVP that year, the Super Bowl. Because if you ask me, I don't think he would have been asked to do a 2-minute drill maybe. I don't think that... I thought that was just about the running game and the defense that year more than Eli Manning. I don't think that year was about Eli Manning. It was about the run game, how the continuity of the football team was. It was just a win-win-win-win-win mentality, and the team didn't give a rip who did what on that team that year. They certainly did not care who did what. They threw out statistics. They threw out statistics because they thought it was a loser mentality. And the one game they had to win in December, they did to get the 1 seed against the Carolina Panthers in overtime, but they lost to the Eagles in the divisional round. And that still upsets me to that day because I still remember having to play a kiddie basketball game that day. And worrying that I was going with the Eagles and the Giants lost and all this stuff, and I wasn't too thrilled about it. And at least I was glad that the Eagles lost to the Cardinals the next week in the NFC title game. So, the Giants, 3 and 5 years, yes, that would have been a dynasty. Because they did win the Super Bowl a couple years later. But how would the roster been? Would it have been still the same old school mentality? Or this and that? We could have played a lot of these what-if games. We really could play the what-if games. There are so many what-if games in sports today we can play. And this is definitely one of them. That the New York Giants would have 5 Super Bowls, the Pittsburgh Steelers would have 5 Super Bowls, and the New England Patriots would have the most with 6. Yes, that would be the case in today's NFL, and I know our Steelers fans get so ticked off with me every time I mention the fact that the New York Giants should have 5 rings instead of 4, and they tell me to go take a hike, basically. And you know how much I basically don't appreciate it, but as I say, everyone is entitled to their own opinion. I'm just sitting here like, what if? What if this? What if that? The New York Giants should have won the Super Bowl. And I guess that's life. And as Eli Manning's always once said, once a Giant, always a Giant. And that's what it feels like. And I thought the New York Post did a good job with the article. And the headline, some things stick out to me, some things don't really stick out to me. Tom Coughlin would be viewed differently as a head coach. Eli Manning would maybe be viewed as a different quarterback. Eli Manning would maybe be viewed as, okay, and Eli Manning won the third Super Bowl. Now do we consider him first ballot rather than a borderline Hall of Famer, even despite having the 2 Super Bowl MVPs? Had he won 3 Super Bowl MVPs, and I personally don't think he would have won Super Bowl MVP that year with the way that team was constructed, is that it would have been a lock right now for Eli Manning. But because it's only 2, it's still a borderline debate of why people think he should be in the Hall of Fame or not. As they say, they remember people more for losing sometimes than they remember them for winning. They really do. When you think of what's the first thing you think of Eli Manning, some people will stick out and say 2 Super Bowl MVPs, but then some people will say, oh, he's missed the playoffs more than he's made it. He would have been so viewed differently had they won the Super Bowl. The year after they won the first one in the Eli Manning era, and their 3rd overall. And Manning won 2, and it was 4 overall in the franchise's history. That team was unselfish, and that was also when Michael Strahan retired. And they thought about bringing him back because of injuries on the D-line. But as I said, no one made excuses. They didn't feel sorry for themselves. They took it with class and grace with this losing, and that's what all you can ask for. So one other thing with the New York Giants before I get off the show here is another interesting article that I read in the New York media about Danny Dimes' baby, Daniel Jones. So it was a game after the Giants lost last year 26-10 against the Minnesota Vikings. And Daniel Jones, he was eating dinner somewhere, and he was texting Benny Fowler. Benny Fowler actually happened to get released by the Giants before the Vikings game around that time period. And Benny Fowler's like to him, you want to catch some passes or whatever tomorrow or something? And Daniel Jones is like, let's do it tonight. And Benny Fowler's like, tonight? Yeah, tonight. In fact, we'll all come. That's just thinking of me and my old SpongeBob ways as Squidward and Squilliam. But I don't have time to get into that right now. So, in fact, after they decided to go search some places to go throw the ball to, and it took them a little bit of while to find places to go throw, and they actually happened to do it for a little while. And what Daniel Jones did is the definition of a franchise quarterback. You want to get better even after having a tough loss. And this is why General Manager David Gettleman drafted him. Because Daniel Jones is fit to be a franchise quarterback. He is so fit to be a franchise quarterback. I love the way he conducts himself every single day. He doesn't get too high. He doesn't get too low. And the thing about that game was, he was just overmatched. I don't think he was that bad. The Vikings, it was just a personnel mismatch. And I actually happen to remember I picked the Giants to win that game only because of what was going on with Kirk Cousins. And yet Kirk Cousins, as I said to Margarita a long time ago, they were coasting down the New Jersey Turnpike. I guess they were maybe heading to New Jersey beaches or something after that game. But then yet again, Daniel Jones, I guess, was looking to put in some work instead of cruising down I-95 to New Jersey Turnpike, having some margaritas on a beach on a day like today and trying to get to work and work on his game and potentially get better as time goes on. Because let's face the facts. Daniel Jones does a lot of things with grace and class, and that's the way he is going to conduct himself moving forward. That's the way he's going to be. That is the way he's going to be throughout his NFL career. And I'm happy that he's taken the time out to work and get better at things. Because unlike Dwayne Haskins, well, I don't know if he's putting in the work ethic, and I know some Giants fans wanted to draft him, the Ohio State product, over Daniel Jones, the University of Duke product. But I don't know. I do believe that Jones is a better fit than Haskins is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm out of time here. Thanks for tuning in to Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner. I am your host, Glenn Kaplan. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day and have a good week as well. I will be back on the air at the same time on Thursday as well. I will also go over some more NBA and NHL topics. We may have an update on the NBA resuming to play, just like the NHL did last week. I will also maybe have some more topics about the 2020 NFL draft and schedule. I also have some more NFL topics as well relating to the NFL 2020 regular season nonetheless. And maybe we will have some news about MLB opening day 2020 as well. A quick update on that. 114 game regular season. Maybe we'll start June 30th. It was proposed by the MLBPA, and that was shot down. Ladies and gentlemen, I love you all. Stay safe.